What's up, guys? We're back with the 6-port to turbo conversion with the electric power steering pump and all that good stuff. We left off, we were waiting on a bunch of parts, and I did get a bunch of the parts in. Threw most of it together. We got all our silicone hoses on, a new overflow, all that good stuff. We said we were going to go over the throttle bracket and stuff like that. I already made one, so we'll go over that really quick. All it is, basically piece flat stock weld, drill your hole, and you're going to be able to use your NA throttle cable again. There's 2 bolts, M6 bolt holes on the side of the throttle body here, and you just drill those out. What I usually do is I make this plate first, bring this throttle cable over, and then mark it where I'm going to cut it, and then weld that on. As you can see, I angled it and all that. Then you just drill your hole, slice this, your cable will go back in, bolt it down, and your throttle linkage is all good to go. Things you can do, which I did on this, is I shortened that shaft and threaded it and moved this cam over. And that's the other thing you also have to do on the throttle body to use this, is you got to take all this off. It normally pulls that direction on the turbo. I know we're like zoomed in. So you flip this over and now it's gonna pull this direction perfectly fine, like you can see there. And that's all you have to do for the throttle body, nothing crazy. And then, like, if you're doing what I am and you're not turboing it right now, because I'll tell you right now, you go to throw turbo on the stock clutch in this car, you hit like 6-7 pounds of boost and it's gonna slip. So you definitely got to do the clutch in it, but we're going to refresh this motor before we turbo it anyways, and probably stud it, and also new seals, goopy seals and stuff like that, and all that good stuff, because there's no point in just sending this thing just to have the clutch slip. So you can just use your stock NA intake, and you can get a piece of 3-inch angle and put your cone filter on it. It's done. Also finished up the coil on plugs. Just got to wire them in. They just sit there like so, easily. Makes everything real easy. And then when I come off with the power for this, I'm going to run it back around over, and you have your power for the original coils right here, which I saved that plug, and we're just going to tap back into that. For the tack signal, we're gone. The ECU is directly hooked up to it now. So anyhow, onto the electric power steering. So I use Volvo pumps. They're simple, plenty enough power for these. Easiest place to mount these, I see people mount them all over the place. They mount them here, they're on the side of the engine, whatever. So if you take your cover off here, sorry, relay for the fans in the way. The original bracket you can take off, and all I did, you can't really see it here. If you have access to a welder, literally just weld it to your tube that comes across. And then on the other side here, I've got everything in the way. All I did is took a piece of flat stock, 1/2 inch long, weld it to the bracket, weld it to the car. Your bracket's in here, you set your pump in. It's on its rubber mounts, everything like it's supposed to be, so you don't get the vibration of it running through the car. And really simple setup. We'll go over these fittings, and all you're going to do is put a 90 on this, and that's basically going to send your hose where you got to go around the side of the radiator. For wiring, there's already bolt holes over here, so you just ground it, put a 10 M6 speed on there and ground it right there. So if you have your battery in the stock location, what you can do is just go your power and ground right to the battery, but this battery's in the trunk. So basically, power's coming out, just going into the side of the fuse box here. You can see that wire there, it's kind of blurry, and into the box where the alternator's hooked to it. Done. And then the next nice thing about this being mounted here is you need 12-volt ignition source with your gray and red, not gray and red, gray and blue wire. It's hard to tell on that. And you have all your relays for all your other stuff up here that's going to get your 12-volt ignition source. you can just tie into that power. I haven't done it yet because we're not hooked up. And if I turn the key on, pump's gonna turn on. So, for fittings, you have a banjo here, and you have your regular power steering fitting there on your return. So, I'll go over this, and then I used a 45 that's gonna shoot it back. But it's just that M14 banjo to 6AN. The 45 degree that I have on there is the easiest. You can get one of these on there and it'll be fine. So the other two fittings you're gonna need, if you don't have the assisted rack, which you just plug that off, which is, I believe, also the same threads, M16 1.5, but this is an actual power steering fitting with your rubber roll ring that has your triangulated, or yeah, whatever, your baffling. You do not want to use these fittings without it. You can, you're gonna run into all kinds of trouble. That's M16 1.8 or 1.5 as well. You're gonna screw that in. You can get a copper washer on it, whatever. It may not leak, but you have a really good chance of leaking. You use these, it seals up like factory. I'll put the item description in the comments, or in the, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying. It'll be in the video, yeah. That's what happens when you've been sick for weeks and weeks and weeks. But the description will be in there. So you're gonna need two of these. One to go in that top port and one to go in the pump. And they're gonna seal up like factory, and then you can just put your AN fittings on it. So let me tear into this, and we're gonna get quite a bit farther on this. We're gonna go over a few other things like your oil return, your oil send, stuff like that. You have two options on your oil send. We'll get into that. And then started getting a little bit of this wiring sorted. I'm waiting on sheathing. Everything is like a waiting game for parts lately. And it's getting ridiculous with the shipping on this stuff. I mean, it's like 2 weeks on things that should be like 3 days. So we'll get into this, and we'll be right back. We're back. I have it 99% of the way together. As you can see, we're wired up and all that stuff. Okay, I lied on the trigger for the pump. I actually ran it into the coil power wire, which comes on with the ignition. Regardless, it's there, black and white wire off your coil that sits over here originally. And then when I was talking about the coil on plug, I just came around and tied into the rear coils for the trailing, back into that. We're all good there. Still waiting on the TPS. I have fired the car up. It does run without it, whatever. I mean, it's a standalone ECU. But I was talking about oil send for the turbo. All right, you got two options. If you had the engine out of the car and you're non-turbo, this is just a brass plug in the front iron. I might have went over it in another video farther or before. You can actually drill, grind that just a little bit and pull that brass plug out and thread that to M14 1.5 and then have your AN fitting on there. Then your next thing is you can get an spacer plate for underneath your oil filter, which then you can put an oil temperature sensor in and stuff like that, and then you can run your steel braided line over. Glow Shift makes them. They're cheap, very cheap. I think they're like 20 bucks or something like that. Real simple. And then depending on if you have an S5 or S4, if you have an S5, NA, whatever, the front covers already have a provision. They didn't change them. You would just have to drill and tap that out, and then you can use your regular oil return fitting that you would get for the bottom of your turbo as well. The only other thing you could do is you could pull your oil pan off, get a steel 6AN bung, and weld it into the oil pan down here, and you have your return as well. So anyways, now that we've went over that, we've got this all buttoned back up, all that good stuff. And we're getting there. It just sucks with this waiting game of waiting on stuff. I've got the steering column tore apart because we've been having high beam issues with the switch. But like I said, it's all wired in. Check engine light even comes on with the Adaptronic ECU. You might be able to hear it. The power steering's on. It turns that easy. I'm on jack stand, so I don't want to go crazy. But you can see. like whatever. Yeah, so another thing that I'll put a link to, you can get them on eBay. It's the reason why the car's up on jack stands right now, is while you're in here, might as well replace the bushings. They actually do make urethane rack and pinion bushings for these cars. They're real simple to change, and you just basically get underneath the car, pull your 2 bolts out, pull your 4 bolts out, just lift the rack up a little bit, and get those in there. So I'm gonna do that real quick and try to come up with some sort of filter for this, because I really don't want to run it with no filter on it. I mean, that'd be a waste to suck something into this thing. And yeah, so let me get this rack and pinions bushings in, and I'll show you what the deal is with that. Be right back. All right, realized I've been filming on my phone on 1 instead of 0.5 forever, so you should be able to see things a little better. So I made a mistake when I was talking earlier when I said to weld a bung into the oil pan and saying 6 AN. Do not use the 6 AN fitting. 10 AN, you want your oil to drain. A lot of people make that mistake and put way too small of a fitting on, and they'll plug the turbo up and burn oil. So anyways, got the bushings in, cleaned up the brackets, real easy, worth doing either way. So still waiting on this stupid TPS. It's been going on a month now, so hopefully we'll get it soon. So we're gonna do something a little more in this video. I already started doing it a little bit. We're gonna put some Power Rx8 seats in this. They're heated and fully powered, and I've already done a lot of stuff. You gotta cut brackets off, which we'll go into a little bit more. I got them over here kicked around. So you gotta cut all these brackets off. It's a lot easier than you think. The big thing is I was going to do it like I did in my wide body and weld these sliders on off of the original seats. Well, you don't have to, and I'll get into that once I get these out of the car. So basically this side has to come up to make the seat level, and basically you want your sliders level as well. These are almost where you want them, except they're too low, but I am going to weld them up here because this is as far back as the seat goes, and I want the seat to go all the way back. But we'll I'll get these out of the car, and then we'll dig right into it, because with the, like I said, I was going to put the sliders on originally, and with the power, I wanted to keep the power seat because it's really not hard to hook up. 12 volts in the ground, and the seat will have its normal power. And then we're going to do something here. I'm going to put in some sort of switches, probably grab Rx8 switches and relays, and then we'll hook the heated seats up. But first things first, got to get them out and modify them. It's not hard, as long as you've got a welder or somebody that can weld for you. But let me get these seats out of the car. We'll get them set up so I can show you exactly what we cut off the brackets and stuff like that. Also, so you know before we even get that far. So your bolt hole is over here. So what we're going to be doing is making a piece of angle iron that comes over and welds up to here. And then this one is basically lined up where the original hole is. See right there? So we just got to make a tab off of this and then be able to bolt it to that. And then the backs are just, flat stock angle iron. So it's really not that hard, and we'll get into this and I'll show you guys, because I see there's a lot of posts about putting the seats in and nobody really explains how they do it. So I probably won't work showing it, because like I said, then I gotta have somebody to film, but I will go through step by step and what you gotta do. So why not? We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Little update. It's taking a little while to get this stuff done. I keep getting like 2 feet of snow every day, so I spend most of my day plowing. It's awesome. And gotta fix my daily axles in this 535 XI. They're fun. So I gotta get that out of the way. But finally, the TPS has showed up. Gonna get this on, that way I can actually move this thing and stuff. But I gotta do a few modifications. This one's the JDL, and if you've dealt with these before, you can see it's a lot shorter. So I gotta come in here and shorten this rod out. If you can see, I got to take I had them shorten at 23 millimeters, so it's gonna put this a lot tighter. And I gotta get that on and put a weather pack, not a weather pack, my Deutsch connector on that I have for the rest of the harness. But like I said, the seats. So don't worry, I'm gonna go through everything that I had to do to get them in. I still gotta do some welding on them and stuff. This was just a preliminary mounting, but as you can see, they're in here solid. I gotta run the power wires to that one and do some gussets and stuff. Just fair warning, your passenger seat is gonna sit a little bit higher, only because the frame on the seat. I'll get into that when I pull them back out, and I'll be showing you the gussets and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I got to get this thing out of the way, but I wanted to do a little bit on here before I forgot, because this video has actually been taking weeks to do, and I've actually started fixing the wide body kit on here. As you can see, this didn't line up. There was like a 1/2 inch gap between this and this sticking out, and got this all welded in for the most part. Got to do the other side still and fix this up here. Pulled this out roughly a inch or 3/4 of an inch to make it somewhat flush. I still got to do it on this side. I don't know how well I can see with the welder, but you can see it's tucked in, so I got to fix that side too and weld that side. So let me get this stuff out of the way and then get back onto these seats before I forget and never finish this video. So I will be right back, and it'll be instantly for you. So all right, so it's only going on like another 2 weeks with where I left off on this. Yeah, shit keeps happening, I guess, but we were talking about the seats. So I got the driver's side out right now, and what we'll go over is, because if you want to put power in, it's actually not that bad. So if you can see, you got white wire and a white wire and green stripe on your connector that you would get with the seat, and those are your power wires for your controls, for your forward, back, lumbar, all that stuff. And then you're going to have the black and red and black on the end. As you can see, those two right there, 1, 2, and those are going to be your grounds. Those you can go straight to your battery. And then if you want to hook up the heated seats, you're going to need a relay and stuff. Do not try to hook them up straight with a switch, and you're going to need a 20 amp fuse. But that black and that blue are your heated seats, and you're basically going to run them back to the battery and hook in a relay. And then I'm going to go over this driver's seat. I still got to weld it together. Like I said, they were just sitting in there. So on your driver's side, you're going to leave your inside bracket completely stock from the Rx8, and it's going to bolt right up. And then this one, you want to grind these off, and you're going to move it just in, not very far. And then you're going to re-weld that. So for the backs, I don't have them on here right now, but let's see. You're going to cut something like this. It's going to go on this side. Okay. And then basically you're just going to cut a square with a hole, and that's going to be that side, and then you're going to have to weld those in. Easiest thing is to set it there. I have welding blankets, so I'll do it with the TIG, so you don't have to worry about it. But let me get this wiring ran. So basically just going to run it where the old speaker wiring was, up around the carpet, up. And then if you remember, I got the battery back here. So those for the power seat can be hooked direct with the 20 amp fuse in line. And then I'm going to mount the relay back there and stuff like that. So let me get into that, and we'll be right back. And then I'll set the seat in here and show you the deal with those mounting brackets. And I'll be right back. Right here, we got these wires ran right through the old speaker wire. And then what we'll do, since I was going to explain, so took a relay that's for the heated seats, fused like I said, and then back here you need ignition on, and you grab that from the old amp, which is blue with a silver stripe, and that 12 volts on with the key, and that'll turn, well, that'll give it power to the relay, and then you have your powers and grounds. So what I did was something a little trick here, since this is basically worthless once you remove the stock radio, but these are latching switches. So for right now, we'll see how well you can hear. Turn the key on, you're gonna hear the electric power steering pump probably come on or something, but you might be able to hear the relay. Well, if I move it close. So there's the heated switches using the factory latching switch from the old surround sound setup. So that's that. That's basically just your brown and white wire and brown wire, the two connectors on that right there, and that's done. So we're losing that stuff. So let me get the seat back set in here and test out the power and all that stuff, and then I'll get that welded in and be right back. All right, we got the seat back in, hanging out. I just wanted to show you how it works. And so with the key, well, the key's on right now, but basically there it is. And then forward, back, and you can go up and down because they're fully powered. And then the next thing is, like I was saying, I hooked that relay up with the switch and all that stuff. So let's see how well we can see. So we're 80 degrees, 81 degrees. So it's, and this is the actual, it's cold in here. So 58 degrees, 59 degrees. So you can see it's obviously working perfectly fine. So we got heated seats and power in this. It's really not that hard to hook up, like I said. Let me get these welded in and then we'll go from there. Back to where I was. On these, like I said, you got to cut off all the original brackets and everything off of the seat rails. And what I was saying, where it sits a little higher on the other side, you could modify it. You'd have to trim down some of this and whatnot and put another bracket on here and move this whole deal up. But then you're going to be messing with this and everything else. So, I mean, in reality, you'd have to cut this here, put a plate on it, and move this up. And you're talking like an inch to get the seat to sit level. So, and then the next thing is, then you're probably going to have clearance issues and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast with these. And for, like I said, just a flat plate off of that to the floor over there, and that side's done. But you are in an angle, and then you have to make this back bracket. You're moving everything over about a half an inch, basically. So, I mean, you need a 2 1/4 plate at an angle, and then you're moving the center of the bolt hole about an inch over. For the other side, you're going to need some plates that are about 3 inches long. And then, like I said, you're also going to be a full inch over on the bolt holes, and you need the same thing in the back. And you can see you're at an angle on both of them. That's pretty much all you have to do to get these seats in. Not much to it. And like I said, ran the heated seat deal back around over to the relay. They're all on one switch for now, so passengers just has to deal with if the driver wants heated seat or not, until basically this other surround switch is tied in so much that I couldn't separate it. Well, I probably could with some soldering and stuff like that, but for now it is what it is until I come up with a different switch panel deal. And yeah, that's pretty much it on that. So anyhow, let's see, I gotta set things down, stuff like that. So pretty much that's it to put seats in, and we'll be back to this whole ECU deal. So it's all in there. I got to do a little bit of mapping. I'll show you the deal because it's still NA. All your base maps, ignition maps, are going to be set up for a turbo car, and they're going to be very flat. So let me get the seat back in, get the ECU hooked up, show you where we're at. We'll get this thing started and finally able to get out of my garage, because we've got other projects in here and they're pretty big. And that's going to be in the next video. It's been cut up for the last 6 months. So, well, yeah, let me get that back in. I'm getting sidetracked here, and we'll get onto the ECU stuff and get this thing started and out of here. All right. Anyways, got the seat mounted back in, all that good stuff. I got the top half, whatever. Anyway, so we're hooked up to the ECU and looking at the base maps, and I'll show you. We'll give you a quick setup on this. This is Series 5, like I said, so a little bit higher compression than a Turbo 2, less compression than an RX8. So when you go in here, the Series 5 is also a much higher red line, so it's set to 7,500, and the timing is flat, all right, all the way across. So we're gonna fix that. We're also going to come in and fuel tuning. I have messed with it a little bit, nothing crazy. And then we're gonna have to do cranking, cranking map, stuff like that. So right now, we're gonna need a little more fuel in here when I turn the key on. And then this is pretty much all set because I've had it running and stopped and running and stopped. So let me get back to this ignition map and show you what I mean by the base timing. This is only an NA map, and you can add more in rows, just like I'm gonna add more columns here, not interpol. So I want to insert column, and I'm gonna do 8,000 RPM. And then I'm gonna do 8,500 and 9,000 and 9,500. And let me get this. If I had a tripod, I could set it up or whatever, so you can film or show this. So what I'm gonna do is fix this map. As you can see what it is now, the ignition map, because it's the part you want to start on the most. And let me fix this, and I'll come back and show you what I have after, and you can compare. All right, so I fixed the ignition map here. As you can see, we're not flat anymore. We're going up to 29 degrees maximum timing at 9,000 RPM, and then put a bunch more timing in there. So if you are low on timing or you're flat, you're gonna create high EGTs, which is not good for the engine. So you wanna get closer to MBT. That's easiest to do on the dyno. I went by what I've had on previous experiences with the cars. So this should be really, really close. I also dealt with a little bit of the spark split, closed the gap up a little bit on the split because it's NA and you can get away with that. And the thing is having more timing correctly down low in the vacuum map when you're on and off the throttle, that's gonna create your maximum torque along with spark split. So I added a little bit of fuel. We're gonna see if this thing starts right up. We might have to prime it 2 times or something. Well, first off, I gotta get the seat not in my I'm never gonna get in there. So, you know, the woes, no movie magic here. You know, I cut enough back and forth and don't show much of my work, only because, you know, like I said, I can't hold on to things and stuff like that. So now I'm gonna get in this thing. Hopefully I didn't kill the battery running everything. And like I said, I am 5'9". I'm in the car now. I've got the seat all the way back. I am uncomfortably too far away from the clutch pedal. So that'll give you an idea where the seat is. So I'm moving it forward. I'm good in the clutch. I might have to bleed that a little more. It feels a little spongy, but so priming that up, and so what I'm gonna have to do is go over to the fuel map on this temperature. Well, I'll do it right now and show you the deal. So it didn't fire right up. So I've either added too much fuel or not enough. It'll usually pop. So what I'm gonna do is come over here and click on fuel tuning, cranking map. We are at 39 degrees. So now what I'm gonna do is just shift, plus, we'll call it 95 down there, and then we'll come over here and go, and then we'll see what we've got. So back to cranking. This pump might be on its way out. I hear a lot of noise coming from the tank. Yeah, that's not good. So let's see what we get. A dead battery. Ha ha ha. All right, let me get the booster pack on it and be right back. Okay, got the booster pack hooked up. I don't know how well that's gonna work. I don't know if it was really fully charged. But let's see, let's try this again. That pump does not sound healthy. Oh, there we go. As long as you got good voltage, I guess I hit the nail on the head with the cranking map there, because it obviously fired right up after. Get this off of here. And it's nice now having a TPS. This was actually all over the TPS. This thing ain't smogging me out like it used to. It's running way better with the standalone. So, I mean, just updating, going with a standalone, the car is going to run way better. The noise you're hearing under the hood, just so you know, because I actually use them, the idle air control valve, it works on pulse width, so you can really hear it. Yeah, so that's that opening and closing really fast. This may stall. I haven't messed with it very much, but everything looks good. So this thing is ready to get out of here, other than addressing that noise. Well, let me shut this thing off before I fumigate myself, because it is running a little rich right now, which is normal. You can see everything works. Like I said, check engine lights off, airbag lights on. One thing I got to address is I thought it was a security system. Well, let me shut this off. I thought it was a security system, and I unhooked stuff. I'm gonna put this top down, hoping that that's that noise. But we got a lot of noise coming from back there. I'm gonna investigate that a little farther anyways. So, oh, that's my relay. All right, so I got a bad relay for the heated seats now. Shit happens, I guess. So anyhow, going to address that and get this thing out of here. But as you can see, everything, like I said, to doing your turbo 2 intake manifold to your 6-port to get ready or to turbo your car, that's pretty much it. I mean, just doing this and going to the standalone and getting rid of everything. I mean, you can see how clean the engine bay is now. You don't have this thing compared to what it was before. If you didn't see, go back and check that video out. Excuse me. But well worth it. Things starts way easier. Before you'd crank and it'd spit and sputter and misfire and all that other stuff. So there were other issues. Like I said, the TPS was pretty much what started this fiasco, to go with an aftermarket everything. And I've had all these parts laying around for this thing forever. So anyways, any questions, stuff like that, go ahead, ask them. Hopefully I addressed most of them in the video. Went a little farther because of all the crap and everything else going on. And unfortunately, this has taken way longer than I wanted to. So I had to do the video in 2 parts. So if you're seeing this one, there's a part 1 to all this stuff. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe, support us, and we'll just keep making videos for you. Thanks.